Butterflight.
Butterflight. Butterflight.
Butterflight. On Butterflight.
Butterflight on. Still on Butterflight.
So what is Butterflight? Then does Butterflight make it better? We're going to find out. Stay tuned. So the first thing we need to do, obviously, is download the Butterflight configurator. Now this is very similar to Betaflight. Actually, Butterflight is a fork off of Betaflight, or another branch off of Betaflight. And we can see here that Butterflight promises to make smoother flight and kind of give us more of a race flight tune, kind of out of the box type feel, without having to mess around with a lot of PIDs and things like that. It's supposed to be more designed for just quadcopters, whereas Betaflight is kind of designed for quadcopters, helicopters, and fixed wing and planes. Butterflight is supposed to be designed exclusively for quadcopters. So in order to download the configurator, we're going to click on Gimme That Butter. Now it's going to take us to the Butterflight configurator download page here, and you can choose whatever your operating system is. Mine obviously is the Windows 32, so we're going to download, double click on this here, and it's going to download the configurator. Now, my last video I did download Betaflight 3.3. However, I decided that I was going to change my mind, and that's the wonderful thing about America. We can do that. We can change our mind if we want to. And I decided, you know what? This is a good time, let's go ahead and download Butterflight and see, what all the hype is about. Is it working better? Okay, now we have the configurator, and you can see it looks very similar to the Betaflight configurator. We're going to click on the firmware flasher, just like in Betaflight. We're going to choose our board, which I have the Maytech F405. And you can see right here, we have Maytech F405. Then you're going to choose what firmware you want. We're going to do 3.5.0 of the Butterflight. No reboot sequence, full chip erase, everything else leave off. And then we're going to load the firmware online. We're going to put the Martian 2 into bootloader mode. And now you can see it says DFU instead of COM3. Now it is flashing the newest version and program successful. We now have the newest version of Butterflight on the quad. So something interesting to know about Butterflight is the original developers of Betaflight. Some of those developers actually are the ones that developed this fork off of Betaflight. So here you can see we are in the setup tab, and like I said, it looks exactly like Betaflight. There is some things that we're going to need to do in the CLI tab. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paste my configuration from Betaflight. That's right. Make sure you save your configuration from Betaflight. That way you can paste it back in the CLI so that when you go to Butterflight, all your settings are the same. Alright, so this video here, in the process of making this video, Butterflight actually came out with a new updated version of the configurator and another version of the software for the flight controllers. So you see this white box on the left over here. This white box used to be on the old configurator, and this had all CLI commands that you needed to copy and paste and save in order to get your quadcopter to fly buttery smooth. Now, if you take a look now in the newest configurator, this box is gone now. So this can lead to a little bit of confusion, at least it did for me, because I'm like, okay, why are the CLI commands gone from the welcome page now? So I did a little bit of digging and a little bit of research, and from what I can tell, now with the newer configurator and the newer firmware, you do not need to copy and paste the CLI commands anymore. It's already done for you. So let's talk a little bit about what all this Butterflight is, supposed to. How does it make these quads fly so great? And I'm gonna try to explain this the simplest way that I can. It has a lot to do with filtering. So filters basically kind of make the quad fly smoother and better. As you know, race drones are quite noisy. You have noisy motors, noisy ESCs, all this noise and interference and all this stuff going on needs to be filtered so that the quad can respond to your movement on the joystick smooth and accurate, and definitely with very low latency. So the Kalman filter was developed by one of the developers of Betaflight, and they started to implement the common filter in Betaflight. However, it was just a CLI command. Betaflight decided that they had another filter that would do the same exact thing. So they said, hey, we're going to use this filter which does the same exact thing. We don't want to use the common filter. Well, some of the devs said, hey, this common filter is flying better than the filter that your guys are saying is the same. So they said, hey, why not just be able to type in what kind of filter you want to use in the CLI and let it be up to the pilots. If they want to fly common filter, type it in. If they don't, they can just leave the Betaflight filter on. Well, Betaflight didn't want to do this. They said, no, we've already had our release. We're not going to implement this new code. It is what it is. So some of the devs decided that they were going to go ahead and make their own configurator, which is a fork off of Betaflight called Butterflight. Now, this Butterflight, they implement the common filter. They swear by it and stand by it. And I'm very interested to try out this common filter. But anyway, I wanted to give you just a little bit of back history about how this all came to be and a little bit about filtering. So with using the common filter, there's a lot of other filters that you can actually turn off to make the quad fly better, supposedly. Now, that's about as much as I know about filtering. So anyway, I like the fact that with Butterflight, everything's kind of set up for you, ready to go, kind of out of the box type. So once you download the configurator, download the newest firmware, you're pretty much ready to go. You can tweak it a little bit if you're kind of anal about that kind of stuff, but for the most part, it should fly great for you with everything being stock. Here in the PID tuning tab, we can definitely see the big changes that have happened in the newest version of Butterflight configurator. Now, this is also supposed to coincide with the newest release candidate of firmware for Butterflight, which is the 3.5.1. You can see the stage 2 filter is automatically set to the fast Kalman by default. All of the gyro soft notch filters have been turned off. You can see that the D-term notch filter is turned on by default. And if you look down at the very bottom on the Kalman filter settings now, you can actually adjust your Q and your R, which is definitely new. This is the way it comes stock. I'm leaving everything stock because I want to see what kind of a flight experience you get with a stock tune. Alright, so real quick, I want to dump my configuration here in the CLI tab. And you can see that I want to just kind of go over all the filter settings just to kind of just reassure myself that they're all in the configuration. Because what I did was I didn't copy my entire config into the CLI because I didn't want to copy those filter settings from Betaflight. I want to use, so you can see right here, set D-term low pass is set to biquad, where it used to be set to PT1. So they've changed that right there, biquad. And you can see there's the D-term notch hertz, and that's all good. That's all just like it is in the PID tuning tab. But I just wanted to double check and make sure that all the settings are correct and are not off of the old Betaflight. you can copy and paste, parts of your configuration. You don't have to copy the whole entire config. You can just, copy the parts that you want, like your everything for your serial, your receiver. I copied all that. Everything for the transmitter, all those values, I copied that. Everything for the OSD. And see right here, set gyro stage 2 is set to the fast common filter. That's what we want. And then our gyro filter Q and R values are Q400 R88. And that is what we want. And now you can see the gyro low pass is set to PT1. So this is all stock. This is how Butterflight has it set up stock. So you just keep that in mind when you copy your config, and you go ahead and copy that into CLI from your previous firmware. Everything that you paste in there is now going to be in your new config. So if you want to change, the filter settings and all that, you might not want to copy that part of it and paste it in there. Because you might want to run with stock PIDs. You might want to run with stock filter settings, which is what I'm doing here. But yeah, this all you have to do is type in dump in your CLI, and it dumps out your entire configuration. Every button you have set, every configuration is all set in there. So it's a wonderful tool. Just wanted to go over that real quick, but you can see that everything is set stock to stock Butterflight settings. One more thing that I wanted to go over and is very important is setting your gyro sampling hertz and your PID loop frequencies. So the Maytech F405 is actually designed to run up to 32 kilohertz gyro sampling. So that's awesome. Some boards are not able to run that high a sampling. However, you do not want to run 32 kilohertz gyro and 32 kilohertz PID loop frequency. What you'll find is your CPU load, which is down there at the bottom, will actually jump up to 100%. Now, if your CPU load is at 100%, your quad will flip out and it will not fly. And you may injure yourself or others. So just make sure that your CPU level, I would say, is 40% or lower when you're doing your gyro and PID loop frequencies. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video, guys. I'm really sorry. I wanted to be able to include the flight of the Butterflight in this video, but the video just got too long. I had a really difficult time trying to make this video short, but as informative as I could. So please stay tuned. My next video, we will be testing out the Butterflight software on the Martian 2. I can't wait. Hopefully nothing burns up and everything flies great. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. More videos to come, guys, I promise. Thanks so much. Edrone, out.